Well, I thought I would talk about the absolute state of Hope Not Hate
Oh, yeah.
because they've recently released their annual report, The
Right.
State of Hate.
So for people who don't know them, I think we should do a nice introduction. Roll out the trumpets. Hello, this is a group called Hope Not Hate. They're run by communists, and they spend all their time trying to smear people they don't like on the right. At the same time, claiming that they're just anti-extremism. We're just here to fight extremism. Only one kind, which is the one we've decided is extremist, which includes literally millions and millions of people's opinions. So we're on this list, for example.
Right.
And the reason this is important is because in the past, thankfully now the influence, I think, seems to be disappearing. But in the past, for sure, they kept getting invited into the government to give evidence on who should be literally banned. And I mean banned as like almost put on the terrorist list kind of banned.
That's insane.
And this, I think they're partly responsible for why the bad man, Tommy Robinson's banned for quite a lot of stuff.
Right.
So with the presumably Labour government coming in, they might end up shooting back up in importance. But they do this thing every year where they write this piece of crap, which is their state of hate, in which they're like, yes, look at the hate in the UK. It is growing. Give us money. And
Pessimism, decline. Yeah, there's a lot of that. But the rising radical right, I haven't seen much of that.
where are they?
Oh, no.
Literally, like, what march are they on? I'd like to see it.
Hi folks, sorry to interrupt the video, but I just want to direct your attention to the aesthetics range of merch that we have on the store. These are beautiful images that I think work really well as posters or mugs. So if you want to support us, going over to the merch store at shop.lotus.com is easily the best way other than signing up on the website.
Come on, guys. Nick Lowles and Hope Not Hate, they're simply anti-racists.
Oh.
That's all they are. There's no more to it than that. There's definitely no nexus between them and the intelligence services and the government. Certainly not. They're merely anti-racists, which can only be a good thing, can't it?
They are the ones that were putting a lot of pressure on advertisers when GB News launched, pretty much crippled the company a lot of times. I wrote an article once about Enoch Powell being right, which he was, and Hope Not Hate jumped on that bandwagon and lost GB News an advertising deal. And so they weren't very pleased with that.
But it seems
So
seems
they're
like
actually destroying things and organisations and people's lives. I thought they were merely anti-racism. I thought they were just doing the good work of anti-racism.
It's hate, not hope.
But there is like a crossover. There's loads of these types of organisations, like the Runnymede Trust or something. Or there's an organisation called Red Flare, the truly just communist doxing organisation. It seems to me they just work with people like Hope Not Hate. And yeah, I mean, I was personally mentioning it last year or the year
goodness,
before.
really?
Very, very, very small. I wrote one article that called for some sort of Alien and Sedition Act and mass remigration. I was outed by name, but Carl's been in it. Carl's in it every year now.
Is he?
So, yeah. And so yeah, they it was in it this year. There was a whole page. The Lotus Eaters got a mention.
Very
One of the
good.
reasons why I wanted to bring it up, one of the angles, one of my takes on it, is that there you go,
Hey.
Lotus Eaters, and is that it's just not scary anymore. If it ever was, it's sort of profoundly unscary. They're supposed to be sort of revealing the evil racists in our society. But if
I love that. There's a slur there that Carl Benjamin wouldn't even rape Jess Phillips. Are they saying that he should? I don't know what it was.
yeah, what's the problem? Yeah.
But this is the thing. Like once upon a time, they were advising the government to who should be destroyed, and these days they just kind of seem fundamentally unserious.
Yeah.
So I mean, that is good news in a sense.
Someone said on Twitter that a lot of it seems to be, because I didn't read the whole thing, I read some of the personal bits. It's quite long. It's quite a long document, and it seems to be copied and paste from last year. And it seems like a lot of their quote unquote research is flimsy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the guy in charge of it is a literal communist. So we did some digging a while back.
Nick Lowles.
It's not Nick Lowles. So he's the guy.
He's the CEO, is he not?
He's the CEO indeed.
Okay, all right.
And then there is a head of research whose name escapes me. It begins with
Well,
Matthew something.
I've got a few names, just real quick to say, because they like to name people and dox people and stuff. So like Joe Pesci in Casino, we'll watch them right back. You're going to watch us? We'll watch you. Are you kidding me? Georgina Lamming, Emily Lansdale, Molly Osowski, Owen Jones is involved, David Lammy is involved, Amanda Bowman, Elliot Cohen. It goes on. Jenna Levine, someone from Runnymede Trust, David Lawrence, Rebecca Flyer, Joe Mulhall. I mean, these names are out there, aren't they? They have Twitter accounts and stuff.
They're all friends with each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... Who?
Joe Mulhall is the director of research. Yeah.
It's just label anyone doesn't agree with him as a fascist.
They love their lists, though, don't they? These anti-fascists, ironically.
But I remember when Lawrence Fox was on with Dan Wootton and then dared to say that he wouldn't have sex with a woman. And
Yep.
all of a sudden, because I remember seeing that pop up in my timeline. This is how you ended up losing your
It is.
position at GB.
Yeah.
And I noticed that all of the people who were talking about it were using the exact same line
Right.
and all definitely were friends.
Right.
And this is how it works, right? This is a good example of those people who all know each other.
Mm.
And it's a situation where if I ran GB News, I would look at that and go, right, this is clearly an orchestrated attack
Yeah.
by a group of people who fundamentally hate us.
Yeah.
Ignored.
Well, exactly. Don't pander to them. Don't feed the crocodile. Carol Vorderman put out the list and a link to Ofcom saying complain with this link. And then suddenly 8,000 of her followers complained. It became the most complained about episode of TV of last year. But therefore, you use that. You say, yeah, look, we are the most complained about because we are controversial. We support free. You don't say, actually, your sect, your sect, your sect. That is, who's winning there? Well, Carol Vorderman and all her trolls.
But fundamentally, it was a choice. Because this is the
Choice,
you know,
absolutely.
anti-racism types, the Southern Poverty Law Center, etc. What can they actually do? Well, they do this. They whine. They whine and whine and whine
Yeah.
about people they don't like.
Like I say,
The actual destroying of your own organization
Right.
is a decision that your organization makes.
And the people. So Carol Vorderman is a good example. She said on Have I Got News for You, I would not shag Lawrence Fox, saying exactly the same thing that she's disgusted at him for saying. Like, how the hypocrisy is blatant.
and as if she wouldn't anyway.
Anyway.
But the thing is, it's sort of it's not. I find it anyway. It's sort of not scary. It's almost like a badge of honor, if anything. And the Streisand effect. Oh well, you're going to mention some people I might not have heard of. Well, I'm going to go and follow them now. You know, it's like I think quite literally beneath contempt. I don't even hold them in with contempt.
No.
It's like something like if you've got an ingrown toenail or a boil. or like slime mold. You don't have contempt for slime mold. You're just grossed out by it and think about how to get rid of it and clean it up. That's what I feel. That's how I feel about Hope Not Hate. It's like, well, you were mentioned. There's another one. They had a few pages on reform.
Oh, no
Does
doubt.
reform dare to be right
I
of
mean,
the Tories in any way?
Reform is just the Tories 10 minutes ago. It really is. I mean, they're not really extreme or out there on the fringe. It's just mainstream politics from the centre right.
Well, net zero migration. Better than anything else you get.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not really
The
extreme.
idea that that's, I don't know, radical
yeah, right, yeah, it's not extreme. No, absolutely, it's not extreme.
So recently I
Yeah.
was in Poland and they have an independence march and there's a literal black bloc of fascists that turn up. And when I went there, honestly, it was really fun to see fascists in the flesh. Not because I have any sympathies with it, but it was like, oh my God, they're real.
Yeah,
It was
they
like finding
exist.
unicorns.
Yeah, I've actually seen one in the wild.
Because you come back to the Anglosphere and this is what they give you as the extreme right. And it's like,
On.
that's the most centrist thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Richard Tice is, apparently he's in the mind of his detractors. He's both too milquetoast, but also an extremist on the far
Nothing
right.
extreme
It's like
about him. He's just a lovely chap. He just wants to be a part of the establishment. There's nothing extreme about him.
it's like Trump. He's both a complete bumbling idiot and playing 4D chess
Right.
with an evil genius. It's
Right,
like,
which one is it?
yeah, come on. But yeah, there's a page there where you and Lawrence are both
Oh,
mentioned.
great. Oh, together.
John, did you? That's it. That turning point page. Scroll down a bit.
Lawrence and Fox.
There's
and
Father
Tony
Father
Boyd.
Robinson there.
Oh, they chose a nice picture.
Uh,
Far right. I'm far right. Very nice. Commentator. I'm not evangelical. I'm Catholic, but well, they don't really care about facts, do they?
Yeah, I told you the research is not good.
you're not Catholic, are you? I thought you was Reformed.
Well,
Reformed church.
I
It's not Orthodox, is it? That's heterodox. Isn't
small C Catholic. I'm not Roman Catholic,
it? No, right.
but I've certainly never been evangelical in the sense of Protestant.
You're not a papist. You wouldn't describe yourself as a papist.
I wouldn't
would you?
describe myself as a papist. No. I'm a non.
If you scroll back up to the other column, or after Calvin's read, they do sort of gloat that you
Why
lost
did-
your job on GB News.
Why are they mentioning my race? These so-called anti-racists.
And of course, a bit on Lawrence Fox that he sort of dares to exist. Again,
Abusive on-air tirade against Ava. He just said he wouldn't fuck her. That's who's not entitled to that.
oh, F-bomb.
So, I just find it funny at the time. It was, do you remember Gordon Brown? Gordon Brown, a former prime minister, went on Sky News to talk about how she deserves to be fucked. And I was looking at it like, really?
Yeah.
This is a serious debate, is it? This is a
Insane.
serious issue. No, this is comical. This is laughable to look at.
Hmm.
Because what are you even talking about? We're debating whether or not a woman is entitled to sex. No.
The sensationalism of it was just bizarre, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like obvious fake. no one in there was really offended.
No.
No one actually wanted to, be upset. They were doing it purely for theatrics.
Well, while I've got you here, who's that Greek gentleman who controls GB News?
Angelo Frangopoulos.
Right, so wouldn't the ultimate buck stop with him? At some point, did it get to his desk and he had to make a call? I don't know. You might not know.
He's the
he
CEO,
had to make
so
a call
yeah, the
on
decision's his. Yeah.
whether you and Lawrence got the boot or not.
Mhm.
He decided to go with that.
Yeah.
So then, call me cynical, but it's not like, why did he make that decision?
Well, because
what's going on there?
he was already planning to get rid of me and Lawrence anyway, and Neil Oliver. The three of us were getting shifted onto online, which has just now happened to Neil Oliver as of last week.
Did it?
In that his show is now 2 hours online, and then they edit it down to 1 hour to put out on air. So he's no longer live on air, and his content is edited. So the controversial stuff they can take out, because they don't want people who are actually truth tellers or freedom fighters or actually seeking to voice the opinion of the silent majority. What they want is a controlled opposition. And that's what GB News has become.
Yeah, just to say I love Neil Oliver. He's,
He is
like
a
your
good
good
man.
self, he's got a set of principles which he's prepared to stand on.
He's the only one that remains there that I would trust or watch.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's by far my favourite. So, I mean, one of the things I wanted to say about this is...
End non-Christian migration to the UK. This is good. I'm going to put all this in my bio. This is great stuff.
So it's like a badge of honour almost.
Yeah.
It's like, not only am I not scared, I'm sort of... It's good. It's like the Streisand effect. It's like, it gives you more... It gives oxygen to us.
They're thick, though. His conspiratorial outlook, and here's an example, such as repeatedly calling for what's conspiratorial about repeatedly calling for an end to non-Christian migration to the UK?
Well, it's just commie nonsense, isn't it? That's all it is.
but
It's just propaganda.
Bad English, bad research, and then badly put together.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh at this. I mean, up here they're saying that Lawrence Fox is a far-right provocateur. The image they've chosen is of him doing a peace sign with the word tolerance, freedom of speech, freedom to teach, defending a teacher who was being given death threats from Muslims.
Yes, they don't want freedom of speech, do they?
Yes, the average far-right provocateur. I mean,
So who really is on the right side of history? That's why I don't find any of this worrying or disturbing or anything, because our sword and our shield are simply truth and reason and righteousness.
Yes.
We don't need anything more than that.
No.
Those tools are more than powerful enough. There's like a 3-page spread on Elon in this.
Really?
It's like...
He's not even right-wing.
no.
Right.
The centrist.
So it's like they redefine racism, anti-racism and things to now encompass almost everyone.
Yeah.
They end up having to go after, just like any communist revolution, just like in Maoist era or anything, you end up having to go after everyone and everything forever.
Yeah.
That's a madness. That's a madness.
That's why it's doomed to fail.
Yeah. And I think one reason why Hope Not Hate, at least we'll see what happens if or when the Labour get in, if they'll become slightly more powerful again. But they're not immune to being sued.
That's true.
Josh was saying just before I came on that they have been sued before.
But I can't see anything in there that's libelous. This is the problem.
Right, so they're a lot more careful. It seems that they're a lot more careful than they used to be, because when you actually read these, most of it I read, or at least scanned, is that they're not sort of throwing around crazy aspersions. It's all fairly mild stuff.
Well, it's
almost like a description.
These are the bad people.
Yeah.
These are the enemy. That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. They don't seem to be throwing around sort of crazy lies.
So the reason for that, I think, might be because of the Southern Poverty Law Center. So the ADL and the Southern Poverty Law Center in the United States, basically the mirror image of this.
Right.
Americans who want to understand. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
and the Southern
I'm on the
Poverty
ADL
Law
list as well.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's good. So the Southern Poverty Law Center got sued because they claimed that Majid Nawaz, for example, was an anti-Muslim extremist. Majid Nawaz, the Muslim. So he sued them for lying about him, and he won.
Wait, an anti-Muslim extremist or an anti-Muslim extremist?
So they said Majid Nawaz was an anti-Muslim extremist.
He is against Muslim extremists.
But they said he was against all Muslims. He himself, being a Muslim,
It's crazy.
found that confusing.
Yeah.
So sued and got a lot of money and
Good for
a
him.
public apology.
I
So
remember
I
that.
know he's dialed down his Islamism, but didn't he did actually go to prison at one point in his life for Islamism, didn't he?
yeah, this is his
In another country somewhere, right?
his life arc is that he believed in jihadism, went to prison in Egypt,
That's it, yeah.
and has now given up on that lifestyle, wants to reform Islam and give up on Islamism.
Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt.
Yeah,
but
and-
he's still certainly a Muslim.
but so the
So to
idea
call him an anti-Muslim, it just doesn't make any sense, does it?
the idea that the man who has gone through the Islamist world come out of it and said, right, that's bollocks. We need to have a peaceful version of Islam that we live under. And then advocating that publicly, you put on the list. Yeah, you're going to get sued. So that's probably why. Because they're losing money when that happens now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was basically... Sorry, go on. Sorry.
Where do they get their money?
Idiots.
Who
Good
funds
question.
Hope Not Hate?
Very
Because they
good
always ask
question.
that, don't they? Who funds you? Who funds you? That's all they ever say. So who funds them?
Yeah, very good question. If there's any sort of amateur investigative journalists out there that want to sort of delve into that and let us know, because I don't actually know. It's a very, very good question. It's a very pertinent question.
I know a little bit.
Yeah.
So Lucy Brown, I don't know if you know that name, but she did a lot of research into these guys. And one of their sources is the government. So they managed to weasel their way into getting funds. They're not large, but they're small, and a lot of small ones add up to fund anti-hate or anti-extremism programs, especially even within schools. So these guys also work with the schooling system.
Oh, gosh.
So I remember, I think I can tell this story, just making sure. Just going to do some legal stuff in my head. Yep, yeah, we can. All right. So there was a sixth form that invited Carl, and these two young lads, oh my God, I was so impressed. Like they're like 16 when they invited us to come and give a speech at their school. They're running their conservative party group. Okay. And they'd like Carl to come and talk about liberalism. And Carl said, okay, sure, why not? These two kids are unbelievably smart, because as soon as they did that, their school leadership said, no, you're not allowed to do that. So then they said, okay, we'll get on a Zoom call and tell us why not. And they recorded it. And the debate they had with the school teachers is laughably bad, where they're just saying, why?
Yeah.
And they can't answer.
No.
And eventually it came down to that specific school was given a document called Signs of Hate, which was made by these chaps. And in there, they just claimed that Carl is alongside the SS supporters. I was like, yeah, no, that was bollocks.
It all comes down to the list. This is the same reason I couldn't get Carl on GB News. And I couldn't get any good reason why not. I'm like, he's good on this topic. This is his area of expertise. Let's invite him on. No, we can't have him. Why not? And it's because he's on these lists. It's because
some lunatic has mentioned, here's neo-Nazis, and then here's Carl Benjamin, who's a liberal. Yeah, they're the same. That's the same thing.
It's just prejudice, literally.
Yeah. But it's the good fight against anti-racism. That's all it is.
Well, if that's anti-racism, give me some racism.
That's getting clipped. 100% that's getting clipped.
I might start posting that underneath tweets. Oh boy.
But yeah, so one of the last points I wanted to make is that they're not even actually calling out or shining a spotlight on, because there are certainly in any population that's got millions and millions of people, there will be some genuinely bad actors, bad eggs, right? But they pick out you, Carl. They pick out the mallard.
This is great. This is a spotlight. This is exposure. The mallard is a very small outlet of mostly young lads. Good for them for getting in there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, they'll call out Hearts of Oak.
Right.
Someone like lots of friends of this channel actually. Like
love Hearts.
They would dare to have any connection to Tommy or Carl or something. It's like this is. It's into the realm of pathetic for me, and that's not just purely casting aspersions against my sort of political enemies.
They have to get Stephen Lennon in there, don't they?
It's Yaxley Lennon. They haven't even got his name right. It's sort of objectively pathetic. It seems.
It is at
this point.
It's just juvenile.
Yeah, and that these people, I named a lot of them at the beginning. It's like these are cowards. These are moral cowards. It's nothing to be scared of. Yeah, let them name you. Then it's not.
Look at what they call out, man. On Parliament Square, demanding the deportation of Muslim perpetrators of on-street grooming gang. Oh no! They want to deport the rapists. Far right.
Yes. Sorry, is this controversial? Do you disagree? You think we should keep the rapists here?
Do. Clearly.
For what reason would we keep a foreign rapist in this country?
I'm just baffled by this. It's outstanding. Thank you for bringing this up.
Or like Steve Laws, someone like that. Oh no. Oh no. I think they might mention him somewhere. But anyway, yeah, this is just it's a boil on the bottom of Britain. It's something that needs to be lanced. It's something we don't need.
Well, I'm going to go through this and find some new people to follow.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, exactly. So
and they know what they're doing there as well, putting Tommy next to Carl side by side. This is how they work, isn't it? Smear by association.
Mm, mm. And so, yeah, that's their annual report,
Great.
the state of hate,
The Who's the Who list of Who's Sound.
the absolute state of the state of hate. It's pathetic.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Contemplation series, this episode on how politicians try to manipulate you. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow it on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.